And welcome aboard. And that's our new intro, and it's very appropriate for today because we do have breaking news here on the Psychic News Universe. With Annabelle, I'm your host, Rob Akinpora. Our panel today, Tarot Destiny and Rick Paul chiming in today. And they got thrown this literally last minute because the news broke within the last couple of hours. So we're going to dive into the breaking news, and we've got some angles that I think you're going to find very interesting. So here we go. O.J. Simpson has passed away. O.J., of course, the former star running back from the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. He's died of cancer. Whatever he has done in his life, whether it been his football or his acting, the Three Police Squad movies are a good example. He will always be remembered for what happened about 30 years ago later this year, the Bronco chase, the trial. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. And every other cliche we could find. Now, I tried to get licensing from AC/DC to play the song Highway to Hell, but they did not allow it. So I apologize for that. And did I just say that out loud?
We can sing it.
We can sing it. There we go. He's on his way to the promised land, so the song says.
We need Angus here. Angus can play.
Yeah, that's true. We could have had Angus going here. Panel, are we ready for the breaking news and how we're going to dive into this?
We are ready. So I just want to tell everybody, we actually had a completely full program.
We did.
We were going to talk about Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber and a whole mess of celebrities. Mm-hmm. But with the O.J. Simpson breaking news, we wanted to make sure that we tackled this. O.J. Simpson and the case surrounding his wife and Ron Goldman, Nicole Brown Simpson, of course, has been a fan favorite of a lot of psychics. A lot of mediums will talk about them. A lot of mediums will channel Nicole Brown and a lot of other people that have been involved and have passed on. So it is a case that I tended to stay away. I was riveted when it happened. Very, very interesting case. I was in college, so it was exciting stuff.
But it still blows my mind. Here we are nearly 30 years later, and yet here's his passing, and you're saying it's still like a lightning rod in the world that you guys are in.
Yeah. Well, like not unlike Fatty Arbuckle. I'm sorry, I had to go all the way back there. And we have our good friend Foxy is on. Hey, Fox, hey. So I have some questions about, and just so you know, Florida Tarot Apprentice, she's in the chats, but she had a big crazy storm over in her part of the world in Florida. So she's been up all night, just battening down the hatches. So we're real glad that she made it through with no damage and everybody's okay. And we are waiting on Thor to show up. When he comes in, we're just going to pop him right into.
And I know Thor's been busy just about everything after the eclipse. I'm sure his world has been turned upside down right now.
Really, really super, super in demand. And that was something I want to get Rob a reading with Thor because I think it's important for him at this point in his life and at this point in his evolution, working with a bunch of psychics.
Well, it's true, working with a bunch of psychics.
It's really important for him to get his chart done. So the first thing, I want to throw this over to Rick. Not to put you on the spot, Rick, but Rick has been having an unbelievable couple of weeks psychically. He's been doing event after event in his part of the world. He's been seeing a lot of clients. He's been doing a lot of stuff. We're still doing our Monday morning vibe with the tribe. But Rick, I would like to know now, in my opinion, it does take us a little while to transition when we are psychics, or when we're passed on. It takes us a little while to psychically transfer into the next phase of existence. So are you getting anything on the status of where he is and what's going on with him? Any messages from spirit about that?
I'm smiling here because when you mentioned about the song there, Rob, are you not allowed to mention song titles as well as talk about?
Here's the thing with that. You can mention the song title, you can mention the band, but if I were to play the song, it would cost me a lot of money. So that's why I've
covered my backside on this one.
Yeah.
So when you said about whereabouts he is, it just went through my head really rapidly that I am riding this stairway to heaven. So
really?
And my feeling around it was, oh my word, how delusional.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. What the heck's going on here, Rick?
I don't know, because we spoke off camera, didn't we? That, I mean, I'm not a big follower. I can vaguely remember what was going on sort of 30 years ago, and I mean very vaguely.
Right.
But I remember him from the police file films and things like that.
Ah,
And
yes, Police Squad. Yeah.
Police Squad.
I didn't know that.
Well, they were part of Police Squad, the TV
Oh.
series, which became the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah.
All three of them. Yeah.
And I remember all of that sort of thing. And my feeling with it is, without sort of looking into the history of what he was guilty of or what he was accused of and things like that, is when we sort of spoke at the beginning of where I felt that he might be at this moment in time, I was trying to figure out, because I went into quite a dark space there when I was looking around for the energy. And I was saying to you, Rob, that I was got this feeling around me of, did he really know where O.J. Simpson stopped and his characters began? That line for me had got increasingly sort of rubbed out. And you really had a poetic way of describing it, which we'll not say on camera, that he lost his mind, shall we say, a little bit.
His ish. He lost his ish.
Right. I'm not going to be guilty of being the sweary one tonight. I get into trouble for that all of the time when I'm out live. So, but there's just that sense there that is, I mean, we're speaking about that it was cancer that took him, but I'm just got this feeling there, because my signal from spirit when I'm dealing with anything to do with Alzheimer's, dementia, the stroke condition, or anything that I'm trying to think of the right words with it. It's even coming in now and confusing my speech. But when we get anything that affects the power to speak and articulate your words, I get this. Right. And as I'm asking the questions going out to the spirit world, I'm getting this on the back of my head that is saying that, yes, it may well be documented that he's got the cancer condition. But I'm just wondering, with all of these bits that are coming together, whether there was something else like a slow burn, that almost like putting a hand grenade inside your head and then it just all going off, because there's just that feeling with me that it's a complete change of character. And I'm only going on what I'm spiritually feeling here without following any news. So I reckon there's more to this than meets the eye. So where I feel he is at this moment in time is in a place betwixt and between, that he's not sort of on the earth plane as such, but he's not arrived at his final destination. So he's going to need somebody, I feel, that's going to come in and steer him into the waiting room, as I would call it, before his next journey starts to evolve. So it's a bit of a strange feeling that's around me at this moment in time. But I'm feeling quite tight around the chest as well. So there's still a lot of an emotional attachment to this earth plane. So maybe he's just not ready to leave. Maybe I don't know, because I'm not an expert in that sort of thing. I'm just going on feeling. So there's a lot of mixed messages coming through to me about him at the moment.
So that makes sense, Rick, because I just pulled some cards on it. And what I'm getting is the success card. That 6 of Wands is always our success card. Like, woohoo, I made it. So this is like, I did it. The ruse was still out there. No one found out, the actual truth. No one found out actually what happened.
And unless you interpret the book as saying that he was saying, if I did it, keywords being if, but there wasn't an interpretation of him trying to explain what he did without saying he did it.
Right. So I think that this is an escape, though. I think he's like, woohoo, I made it. I didn't get busted. The justice never got completed. Justice is in reverse here. Over here, not disappointed. He did everything. He lived his life the way that he wanted to. He lived it on his own terms, including if he did it, he got away with it. We all have
opinions on that, by the way.
So the truth of the matter with this Hermit in reverse is the truth is not out there. And here it's almost a relief to be done. Whenever we're dealing with cancers and we're talking about medical, whenever we get the wands, it's always a little bit of that chemotherapy or radiation, whatever they're going through. It's specifically this Page of Wands or the Ace of Wands. When I get that, I always see that. Those of you that are just joining in, please be sure to like, subscribe to all of us. We're all down in the comments or in the description box. And we're talking about O.J. Simpson. We're going to channel and do some tarot regarding his death. At 10:07 this morning, we did get on the East Coast. We
Yeah.
were alerted to the death of O.J. Simpson due to complications from cancer.
I want to try to get an interpretation here as you were talking about going back to that last card.
This page of wands.
Right. And you're talking about peace.
Sure.
You're talking about peace at that point, in a way.
Relief that it's over.
Relief. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try this interpretation, everybody. And I want to get everybody's
Are you
feel on
getting
this.
psychic?
I don't know about psychic,
I
but
think he's getting psychic.
But I'm see, yeah, Rick is so excited. I was like, but I'm trying to get an interpretation when you talk about relief. Is it possible in an interpretation that he's at relief, that he's found his relief no matter what the truth is? I mean, we all have our opinions about what went down in the Nicole Brown Simpson situation.
Yeah.
And most of us are of the same opinion. But OJ did everything but blatantly say he did it. So is this maybe the card that says he's found his peace in a really sick sort of way?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what brings us to this card. This.
Oh, I
Knight
set
of-
you up and didn't even know it.
You did.
Oh
Look at
my
that. You
God.
are psychic.
Hmm.
So when we get this Knight of Swords in reverse, not only is this guy a liar, he's a fast liar. He is lying minute by minute, and he's making the story up, and he's making connections, and he's really creating a crazy story that's going to go through. This is him going, okay, it's good to go. And under the surface, I got a party. I got a big party here. He's like, okay, so now I can pass on. I don't think he really understands. And, I think this is where Rick was coming in. I think he really does not understand the gravity of what we do in our terrestrial life versus our spiritual life. I think, and you can all talk about the soul all day long, but that energy mass that we are, soul, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that he understands that the wages of the actions in this life are going to be paid for in the interim and in the next life. So I think this is like, woohoo, I got away with it. I get a fresh new start. So,
But the other card, if I can go back to that for a second, to defend
this
Rick.
guy.
And Rick, you were talking about it before, how you say that was he being true to himself, that he didn't know where the character started, where the character ended. In a weird way, it almost feels like this card defends your argument. And it does create some interesting thoughts in my head, because when you look at OJ's life and you kind of say, this guy before the trial, worship, superstar, turns football into acting. Somewhere along the line, did he know who he was as a person? Or was he just, like you said, the superstar, the actor, the character, if I'm interpreting you correctly?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm just sort of throwing those thoughts out again. And my style of working is to imagine a tennis ball thrown out into the universe, and then as it comes back with a piece of information. And what went out there, I got the song Blurred Lines, and I also heard in the back of my head of, what do you expect? I'm an actor. That's what came through really, really strong, where we're putting the case together, but the case is irrelevant either way, because whether he's done it, whether he hasn't done it, he's still getting attention. And what I learned from my wonderful wife, who's a school teaching assistant, was that all attention, regardless of whether it's good or bad, is good attention for them. So just got this feeling, and it'd be interesting to actually see a clinical definition of what megalomania is, because there's another word that's floating around in my head. So you step into that caricature to fit a role.
Right.
And like you were saying there about Annabelle, about him being able to sort of lie really quickly, I find it really fascinating that sort of element of the different types of personas in the head. And this is where I just get this real strong sense that one had blurred into the other. So they're just this blurred lines. And I'm not going to start to try and sing or remember the lyrics, but the tune is
that's, although a great song, though, I will say that. Yes.
But he's so. I think, like you said, Annabelle, I don't think he's worried in the slightest, because even when he's gone and he's transitioned, he's still going to get attention. There's still going to be that question mark over him for as long as people look into it. So it's going to generate money. It's going to generate lots of other things for him. So he's still on that winning side, but with no fear of being like any guilt or anything like that. He's got off with it scot-free, in a sense, with every sort of piece of feeling, emotion, and whether there's evidence or not, we're still talking about it. So he has won, hasn't he? He has got us on here today after he's gone still debating about how he's going to be feeling. So he's wherever he is, he's going to be loving all of this.
Got a point there. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't deny his personality at times was a bit of, I'll say it this way, attention whore-ish. You know?
Okay.
No ish.
Well, think about it from this perspective, guys. When you have somebody who's in the public eye, some people adjust to it, some people get used to it, and they're not like, they're always going to quote unquote crave it, but not to a degree where it's unhealthy or to a degree that maybe OJ took it. I mean, when you look at his life that way. But it's interesting that you're getting those vibes, Rick, because in a sense, it kind of sheds light on maybe inside his head, that was the thing that was his motivating force. Not his kids, not his wife, just the idea of he wanted fame at all costs.
100%, Rob. 100%. And do you want to just? Shall I send you a shirt and tie in the post and a waistcoat, and you just take my place? I'll be your mini me, Rob, because you've got this for me tonight. You've just got this. You've got this to a T.
It's rubbing off on me a little bit. I like my host role a lot better. That's just me, you know.
Oh, you're doing well. Well done, because that's exactly how I'm feeling this. So you carry on. I'll sit here drinking tea.
There you go. While he's drinking tea, you know, TD, we haven't even heard from you on this, so I apologize. What do you, any takes on what we see with the cards here?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think after the trial and everything, he sort of lost touch with who he was, because he'd always been this bigger than life person, and no one really wanted to hear from him after that. I felt for his kids for the most part, because they lost their dad and their mom at the same time. But those are the only thoughts I have 30 years later. But yeah, he was, in his own mind, he was bigger than life persona.
Yeah, well said. The next part of the cards I think is going to be important here, and I think it's going to be something that will be discussed for the next few days and potentially months, is going to be the finances in this whole situation. According to what I've been able to dig up, the estimated worth as of right now of OJ is somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million. Now, when you look online, that could fluctuate by at least a few million on either side. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was eligible for a pension from the NFL, but that is not a ton of money that way. He did make money off of the books, the book that he wrote. As a matter of fact, in 1997, if you go back to there, his net worth at that point was actually more after the trial than it was before the trial. His estimated worth was about $65 million at that point. So
where did the money go?
Well, that raises a real interesting question, because we know that the Brown family have not received a lot of money. Anna, you got some numbers on that.
I did.
So how much of that money have they received from the civil suit?
So I have two sources on this. So originally, the estate of Ron Goldman was awarded $33.5 million for wrongful death. Online, I found that there was a payment made in February of 2021 in the amount of $123,000. That's it. But then, Rob, you saw something that said $500,000. Or no, I found another program they were talking, and someone on a news program said that $500,000 has been paid. To date, that $33.5 million award has compounded with interest to $96 million. So $500,000, 100,000 and change is not making a big dent in that. So
it feels like, I think the Goldman family have always felt like they were never ever going to see the money, but now that OJ has passed on, there's still going to be this question of if his net worth is X amount, and then there's going to be the question of the will and seeing where if there is money, and I think that's going to be the question, will that be revealed in the next few days, and where will the money go if there is money?
Yeah. So let's see if that $3 million. Let's start there.
Okay, that's his estimated worth as of today, coming in according to a few sources online.
Let's see if that is accurate.
Okay.
Now I threw up a chat in there. I said, if you have any questions about OJ Simpson in the chats, let us know. And we already have one from Deborah, so I'm going to give that a little star.
Okay.
And we're going to come back to you, Honey Bunny. So let's pull that down. And Is the net worth accurate at that 3 million?
And we got the bigger deck now.
We got the bigger deck. I felt like we needed the bigger deck.
Okay.
So we have a 6 of swords in reverse, a 2 of wands in reverse, the Hierophant, boys and girls, the High Priestess, and who else is going to show up to the party? The Hanged Man. Lover's card up at the top.
Lover's card.
The Lover's card.
That one is throwing me for a loop.
And the World underneath. So the Lover's card is interesting. We get that. A lot of people think, it's all romance and whatnot.
Well, that's
But
okay.
it's actually it comes up a lot in business when people have business relationships that they're forging. Contracts we sometimes see with the Lover's card as well. A lot of time we'll see it with Justice, but contracts, we sometimes see with lovers when it's a good connection.
So I'd say I'm trying to, as the layman here, kind of go, okay, so where is the connection? How does the Lover's card play into this whole thing with the money and OJ and everything?
So there's probably some business aspect where the money is being stashed, where monies are being stashed. So when I do these spreads,
Right.
what Deborah, five major arcana, major message. So when I place this card, like it can be at any point up here. Usually it has something to do with this. The Hierophant is always a seat of power for me. So it's Washington, D.C., the Kremlin, Parliament. It can be Hollywood in some circumstances. If we were talking about someone's business, it would be the executives or the board that was dealing with them.
Or the potential business managers handling all the
Or
finances.
the potential business
Yes.
manager.
Mhm.
Yeah, the potential team. So I have a feeling that this money all got filtered. And it is a secret. We have the High Priestess there with her secrets, hiding everything behind closed doors. And then we have the Hanged Man, who is atoning for his sins. Looking at how he has affected others. So possibly he distributed his monies to other people. Now I want to make note for you. And TD, you can back me up on this. What don't we see in this spread? Which suit do we not see?
Oh, which suit? Swords.
There's no pentacles.
Oh, pentacles. Yeah.
There
I'm
is
sorry
no
you failed
money.
the quiz.
there is nary a pentacle. There's no cups here either, which kind of shows no emotional intelligence. Just kind of doing, what he needed to do business wise. I think this 6 of Swords in reverse, the absolution would have been partial if he had paid that money out to the families. Would it have been a good PR thing for him? Probably not. When we settle or when we pay out like that, sometimes it does suggest or confirm culpability. So I think that would have been the circumstance here. I think he said, no way, I'm not paying them a dime because it's going to look like I did it. And I'm still looking for the real murderer. The 2 of Wands here, I think this is a situation where he actually stopped earning. I think he really stopped the inroads of money, so that, or the significant inroads of money. I
Right.
think
So
he's-
basically all he was getting was whatever NFL pension he was just earned at that point. Okay.
Right.
Right.
I think there was a lot of crying poverty here. However, I don't think that there was a lot of money. I think his personal wealth was distributed. I think his coffers were empty and sent over to other people. Now, if we look at all the kids, if we look at all the other
Right.
people that are around him and the tree that's attacking me,
Yeah.
we may see something different. TD, what do you think on this spread? Where is that 3 million? Is the 3 million accurate or is it not accurate?
I think with the High Priestess there, he's hiding it. The money's hidden.
Yeah, I think it's hidden too.
So you're both of
And,
the opinion that the worth is probably more.
He could have also, distributed funds to his children before his death.
Right.
That's what I think. Let's take a look at those kids. Let's see where the trail of money went while we're hot while we're hot on this. And TD, I'm going to let you take the lead on this. So we're looking at the trail of money. We're going to do a little bit of storytelling. You ready, girl?
Okay.
You notice you shuffle better with the bigger deck.
I know it's huge though. Oh, did you see that? That was magical. I had a card jump.
Got the deck. Try cut. Do that.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
See, I did not know that.
All right, trail of the money. Oh, there we go, TD. What do we got?
Song.
What was it? Thongs?
He's
Did you say-
gone. He's lost all of his pentacles. They're in the first one.
The
Nothing's
pentacles are
growing.
gone. The
Yep.
the resources are down. He put
Right.
all of the up. Okay, we got another question from Prima. Thank you so much. Let me star these. We're gonna come back to them, guys. Just sit tight. So yeah, the pentacles, he can't look at the pentacles anymore. If you look at this guy, it's a
Right.
farmer who's looking at his crops and what he's done, what he has created, and how he can either make it better or make it worse. Here he doesn't have anything to look at because the doors have been blown
He's-
off. All right,
yeah.
next
He's
two.
suffering.
Oh, unhappy home. There's that
Unhappy
Page of Wands again.
home, Page of Wands in reverse. Yep.
Yeah, I think his lifestyle took a big hit.
Yeah.
I think he moved. There was no way that he could live as posh as he wanted to. I
No.
think he had to kind of dumb it down before he had to give it all. You know, I hate to say give it all away to the Goldman family because they certainly deserved it.
Mhm.
But before he had to give it away, I think he really did protect that. There is the legacy card
Legacy
and the Queen of Wands. So
in
this
reverse.
Queen of Wands in reverse. The legacy was redistributed, not correctly. So the Queen of Wands isn't always a woman, Rob, just so that you know this.
Right.
The kings and queens can be him, her, they, whatever they may be.
Okay.
The idea, just to give you kind of the 101, the pages are dreamers.
Mhm.
They're the ones that come up with the ideas.
Mhm.
The knights are questers. They're the ones that go out and create it. So the page gets the idea. They're going to build a treehouse. The knight shows up with all the equipment and puts it up. The queen comes in and puts all the cushions in and puts the curtains up and makes it nice and comfy, maybe trims out the windows and kind of does that. And then the king will preside over it.
Kind of like the same rules on a chessboard, as ironic as that is.
Yes. Here, Carmen has a comment that the money needs to go to his children. We'll take a
Yes.
look at that, Carmen. We'll come back to it.
Right.
The kids certainly do deserve that, but
Yes.
he has two other children from his first marriage to Marguerite. So they would be entitled. Arnell was the young gal that was at the house when the police arrived to make notification of Nicole's death. So, and the other son, Jason, was, I think, in the house as well. But I'm not sure. I think he was hanging out with Cato or something like that. Hi, Grumpy. We're talking about O.J. Simpson, Grumpy. So when we get something like this, when we get the legacy card, this legacy card is your castle, your keep, all of your finances, everything that you've done up to this point in your life, and what you can pass on to your descendants, your forebears, everyone that comes after you. This says that the security of that money was transferred to someone in a not good fashion, but in a creative fashion, because the Queen of Wands is very creative about how she does things, but when she's in reverse, she's not really doing them really good. It can be not someone who's not a non-starter, but it can also be someone who's doing something that's a little nefarious. So TD, we're going to go for a couple more.
You said nefarious in the middle of an OJ read. What a shock. Just saying.
We got the Hangman in reverse and that Hermit card. What you got, Missy?
Well, the Hangman in reverse means he's stuck, and the Hermit means he's looking inward.
Yeah, I'm not paying for somebody else's life. I'm not doing that. And we all know that he was like that with Nicole because she had Ron Goldman at one point, or another paramour, in the Ferrari that she had, and OJ was really angry about that. That was something they were tooling around town. She had, young bucks in the Ferrari, and he did not like it. And allegedly that was why he wanted to go to the house and go in through the back to get the Ferrari. And if you don't know anything about this case, get a book on it, because that crime scene is one of the most interesting crime scenes you're ever going to see. There was actually a thumbprint on the back gate, and the police didn't get it. The whole thing could have been solved, and they were pretty sure that there were two people there. So there was a lot of evidence that there were two people there.
I thought FX did a great job with the documentary film with Cuba Gooding Jr. having played OJ, and the acting was top notch.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was
So
really
if
good.
you really are trying to bone up on it, find that.
Yeah.
You can probably find that on demand somewhere for sure.
So yeah, I think this was, I'm going to figure out a way to filter this money over to my people and not lose it. So everybody that's coming in to view, welcome. We're talking about breaking news. OJ Simpson. Oh, Grumpy, you should have been here before we went live. Gregopedia came in. We were making all kinds of off-color jokes about this. So Greg came down and I said, Greg, OJ Simpson died. And he goes, oh, who did it?
There you go.
We shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry,
but there
universe.
were a lot of people who wanted it. Anyway, moving on.
So, Ann Iva, you can ask psychic questions, but this is restricted to the news of the day. We're not doing private readings. I will likely do a live tomorrow night for live readings if you want. If any of my colleagues want to join me on that, they are more than welcome to. But today we're just sticking to questions about Grumpy Sapper. We're gonna do a. We're gonna have to plan a trip over to you and do an on location live over there in the UEA, United Emirates,
United
UAE.
Arab Emirates. Yes,
Yeah.
UAE.
Yes.
Translation:
So-
a very expensive flight. But that's another story.
It's a write-off. Just write it off.
Oh, really? We're going to write this
Write
off?
it off.
Well, where are we going to get the money for it in the first place? Grumpy, do you have the money to stake us, Grumpy? Well, then
We
fine.
need sponsors. I don't know if they want psychics.
Yeah.
I don't know if psychics are welcome there.
I'm pretty sure
Repeat what
Wait.
Greg said.
Stone?
Stone.
I want to go.
No.
Not that kind.
Not that kind. Not that kind. You
So-
got to understand, there's a reason why they're investing in golf as much as they are. Oh, that's another story.
What? Really?
Oh, UAE? Haven't you heard of the Live Tour? They tried to buy the PGA Tour.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about sports.
Yeah, and then that's the reason we don't do a lot of sports readings here. But that's another story.
So let's hit some of our questions. Deborah, who is our Florida tarot apprentice, everyone. Deborah made it through her storm.
Hey!
She's doing good there, but she's sleepy, so she's going to be resting this afternoon. But let's see, did he get any money off his memorabilia? That was a whole jacked up thing. So those of you that did not follow this, there was OJ did some time for a memorabilia crime.
Yes.
Do you remember exactly what happened? It was so
He
fakakta.
broke into a museum and sold his own stuff.
Stole his own stuff and then tried to sell it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like really bizarre, but he was supposed to get it back, and allegedly it was stolen
Right.
from him. It was a whole crazy thing.
And
So
apparently the FBI was involved, and there were things that were tipped off about the whole thing too. So I mean,
Wow.
and that's why he finally did time. So I mean, did he get a more severe punishment? A lot of people said yeah, because normally the punishment would not have been what he got. So in a weird way, you talk about karma. As the 5 cards are coming out here, see the devil.
the devil has come home.
Very appropriate for this reading. Thank you very much.
I love Piper Laurie.
Mm.
So, Grumpy Sapper brought up Fred West. Do you know who that is?
No,
Don't look it
why
up.
should I know? Don't.
Oh, you are going to need a soul brush. That guy was a creep.
Well, then I don't want to have to unsee that. So I'll avoid
it's
that.
terrible crimes. So all right. So TD, you want to take the lead on this one?
Okay.
Question: did he make any money off his memorabilia?
Well, he's coming on unchanged from whatever conflict in reverse, but there's success up above. He's defending his position. 3 people working together. I'm gonna say yes.
I think he did too, but I think there was an issue with it. Rick, what's your feeling?
Right the way through this run of cards, I'm sat there thinking that he's buried it. So we had the card there where he was rowing away for something, but it was in reverse. So I just got this feeling that it's like a huge treasure hunt, that he's laying down all of these false markers, and that he's made tons of money out of it. So I have to remember the terminology. So my feeling is that he's made a lot of money, and that I bet you if you look at his business interests, that in an indirect way that money will surface with somebody that's connected to him outside a sort of, I'm going to be careful with my terminology, but let's say somebody in the background, but it'll turn out to be a friend of a friend of a friend that links back to family or his children. So the money is already with the kids, or those that are meant to get it, but it's tied up in legalese and red tape. So any of the dealings that I've ever had in business has been limited to bad experiences, and I know what business managers and sort of solicitors and people like that are capable of at that high point. Money attracts the higher powered people that can hide these things away and make it look like the ordinary base rate person is losing their mind. So I keep looking at this with the devil, totally guilt-free, not bothered in the slightest, totally devoid of any shame, guilt, or anything like that. We're still, even after this, we're still thriving on all of that drama. He took his opportunities there on the Wheel of Fortune for me, got what he needed, because I keep coming up with this selfish aspect of, well, I'm all right, Jack. I'm not really bothered about the rest of it, but as long as I'm generating that drama. So for me, it's like this massive treasure hunt that someday somebody will go, do you know what? I reckon we can make a film out of this. And the money revenue carries on going. So when you said earlier on about the truth not being out there, it is, but whose version of the truth is it? And I think it'll be, however it turns out, it's going to be one of the great mysteries of life, because there ain't going to be anybody out there unless there's concrete proof hidden in a safe somewhere of that he did it. He's just going to be one of those sort of exclamation points of life. I feel very, very strongly that the money is out there, but it's been run through a company. It's been run this way, run that way. By the time it actually comes down to, well, I can't trace it. It's gone down that many knotholes. But yeah, I'm going to say, answering it directly, he don't feel like he needs to defend himself. He's got somebody do that for him. And there is a lot of money out there, but nobody will ever see it until the full story comes to fruition. I still think there's a lot more to come out of this than what we're even in its sort of infancy of him only just passing away a few hours ago. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to come to the surface out of that. There's money in this, and somebody's going to make big money out of it.
You're making a great point here, because when you talked about film and then what you just said, how the two worlds will come together will raise a very interesting question. If we do see more information come out and somebody decides to do a movie based on the other part of his life, which has not been done, the memorabilia, his time in jail, what kind of money is involved? Who has the right to the money? Is it the family? Do the Goldmans get the money off of this? This is going to raise some very interesting questions in the future as far as what kind of dollars we're talking about and who has the right to it.
So I think the money from the memorabilia has already been distributed. Mm-hmm. I think it's already gone. I think it was a plan concocted. So, and what comes to mind is the scene in Boogie Nights when they're all jacked up on you-know-whats, mm-hmm. and they are planning to rob the dealer.
Well, Peruvian marching powder
And-
always does that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
That's a lady calling Campbell said.
Yeah.
She says that all the time. So and it's like they are concocting this plan. They're not the best criminals in the world, but they've got a big megalomaniac at their head. And I think I'm getting money buried in the desert. So if there's not literally a bag of money buried in the desert, there is a figurative money bag buried in the desert. I think mission accomplished. They did get the money, but I think there's distribution. I think there were struggles over it. Did his kids get them? Maybe. I'm not sure. It looks like all roads to Rome have been cut off. I don't know if we're ever going to find that out unless the other people involved want to bring it up. I'm getting specifically two men. One is a white guy with curly hair. I hate to say it, his hair looks like my brother's when it's a little bit longer, but a kind of curly, like mop top kind of head. And the other guy is much more close cropped, almost receding hairline. Kind of looks like Zod, like General Zod. I know, like this is how my psychic brain works. I'm sorry, Neil before Zod.
Yes.
So those of you that don't get it, Superman reference.
Or a reference in Clerk Mallrats. Oh, son of Jor-El, kneel before
Neil
Zod.
before Zod.
Snoochie Booties. Thank you.
So these two men that are involved are more like kind of B-level criminals that he kind of put this together with them. And I don't know if you know anything about this heist, but I think that they've all kind of distributed the money. I think it was broken up 3 ways. I don't think it really was a straightforward, like, I'm going to pocket all this. And
I'm having a hard time trying to cast this movie. That's all I know. Can we call Cuba Gooding Jr. to play OJ
no,
again?
he's in trouble with Diddy.
Yeah, that's true. He's in trouble with Diddy. We can't cast him. But again, I am fascinated by that whole thought process of seeing. And I think it is going to happen. I mean, it may not be like in the next year, but sometime, let's say in the next 18 months to 2 years, will there be another OJ movie based on that? I can't see why not. It's just a question now. There's the sloppy dealer we
Sloppy
know.
shuffle.
Sloppy shuffler has arrived. But it doesn't.
Sorry about that, Rob.
No problem. But
Good luck to get hit with tarot cards.
It would be interesting also. What would be the interest in that kind of film? Would there be enough of it? Is it something where it's going to be more of a television movie? Would it be something that would go, more of an Amazon Prime streaming thing? Would it go to theaters? It's still a matter of there's a price to be had for that kind of movie. And the question becomes, what's the profit margin? And who gets it?
So let's see. Are we going to get a unsanitized OJ movie? Let's see what we got here. 2.
Did I just set you up?
I think you did.
Didn't know it.
2 of Pentacles in
See
reverse.
my comment?
Oh, no, I did not, baby. It didn't come through yet.
You can't deny Wikipedia if he's trying to give you information.
What'd you comment on?
What about Chris Jensen?
Oh, seriously? Let me see.
Did he mention? Who did he mention? Chris?
Kris Jenner. Your
Ah.
comment didn't come through, babe.
It did this end.
It did at that end. See?
Yeah. I don't know who Chris Jenner is, by the way.
Do not
So-
deny your husband.
They went to England, but not across the room.
Yeah.
Did you comment on Rick's or on ours?
Oh yeah, it was Rick.
Oh, that explains it.
Oh, but we should see his comment.
You should.
I don't know what.
All right.
There he is.
All right, put it up for everybody. So
Gregopedia wants to know how Kris Jenner is going to make money out of this. So let's find out. But are we going to see a movie? Guys, what do you think? I already have an answer, and I don't want to give it just yet. But what do you think?
Produced by Ryan Seacrest. That's hilarious.
Um,
Rick's going no, just by his head.
I'm gonna say no.
I'm going to say yes.
Really?
We really have a split panel here because I'm the non-expert going yes. You're one of the experts going yes, and our 2 over here, TD and Rick, are going no.
Somebody is going to pick this up, but it's got to be done very carefully. I don't think it's going to be about the memorabilia.
But why will we not go there? Because we've already seen the movie about the whole thing with the trial and Judge Ito and all that. That's been done. It's been done in documentary form. It's been done in FX form. We have had enough of that. So why are we going to revisit that again?
Because I think people are going to talk now.
New information.
Knight of Swords. That's our liar right there. Who lied? AJ Cowlings, I'm looking at you. Three of Swords.
Broken heart.
It's coming out. And the
Yeah.
Hermit, the man's holding the bag. So I think, I mean, it may not be AJ Cowlings, but I think we're going to get some people that were involved, and they're going to start telling tales.
That would probably be more of a documentary than a full-fledged acted out film kind of vibe that you're talking about.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah. But again, I get your angle on that. I'm not sure if I'm feeling that. But again, I'm the non-expert who's going, I like where the angle is about the memorabilia. It kind of closed the story because there's a lot to be said about that whole thing that's never been put out in film form. And again, it creates the idea of, hey, here comes more money. And then who gets the money? And like Wikipedia is saying, I mean, does Kris Jenner have a claim to this?
How is Kris Jenner going to make money? So let's answer Prima's question. Prima's got another question coming up on the back. How can the children come to terms with the idea of their mother being killed by their father? So I will tell you this. I actually worked at a school that the children were sent to after. It was a school in Santa Monica. They were sent to after the event where they lost their mother. And partially it was due to the high security standards that they had at that school. There's a lot of celebrity clientele there, and the kids went there. And specifically, it was very much so that they were kept safe while they recovered to whatever degree one can recover from that. But let's see, the children are, Sydney was born in 1985 and Justin was born in 1988. So they're well into their 30s now.
Yeah, and leading as we.
44?
What was that, Greg?
44?
Courtney?
Chloe, which one?
Oh, Chloe. Oh, I'm not.
Chloe
sure.
Kardashian he's hinting at.
Yeah, Chloe's a bit older. But I didn't list her as one of the children.
But I understand where he was going with that.
Yeah, we got to be careful talking about her because she files out cease and desists all the time.
Hey,
so.
Chloe, if you are watching, hi.
Wow.
Feel free to make a donation. I'm sorry. Did I
Free
say that?
publicity is good for them.
Oh boy.
Oh no, don't go through the free publicity thing because we kind of went there with Rick's angle with the whole thing with OJ. Oh my God, it's all tying together. Oh my God, steal the cards.
So this is how the kids, and this again, this isn't going to be predictive, but more advisory. And my wonderful colleagues will help me out on this. I'm going to give my brief interp on this. So we're talking about how the kids can come to terms with this. I'm just going to pull the comment down. The Seven of Cups, there is more to life than just the beginning part of your life. You have to craft a life of your own. The Two of Swords is something that crosses them. And this is something that is extremely obvious when you have a trauma with children. You have to either confront it and deal with it, or it will eat you alive. So that's the advice. The questions here in their past with the moon, you gotta work with what you know. You can't work with what you don't know. So this is a situation where, I wouldn't advise going to psychics and mediums and having them do repeated readings and things like that, because you're going to get a lot of answers and it's just going to muddy the water. You have to find what your belief is and grab onto that and sail through the rest of your life.
What? No repeated readings? Wait a minute. Doesn't that? Well, I'll save comment on that for later.
Well, so what happens with mediumship? And Martin Decoder does videos on debunking mediums, and I do watch him because for my purposes, I want to make sure that I don't unintentionally do some of the things that he thinks charlatan mediums do.
Right.
Where they're like, it's a guy, he's got hair, he's got two eyes. Do you know anyone with skin? Is it someone with skin?
Right, in the library with the brass pipe. Okay, we get it.
So yeah, you have to be really careful. And I whenever I do mediumship, I always tell people, as does Rick, we can't guarantee we're going to make a connection. We may make a connection with some other family member or some other friend that passed away. For me, I don't specifically read on anyone that I know that passed away, because subjectively, I'm afraid I'm going to input my own information in there. So
No,
I'm not going to read.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not
That
going
makes
to read on someone that I know, or someone who.
And that's probably good advice for anybody who wants a reading. Go to somebody that you probably don't know,
Yes.
because somebody you know, like you said, it kind of not necessarily clouds the judgment. You almost have too much information.
You almost have too much information. I did a reading for Greg once, and he was like, "Well, you know me too well. You know all this," and I
Right.
was like, "I don't know all this." So, but nonetheless, so you know, for these kids trying to, what's that? What do you mean? Is that all right? We had a funny. I'll tell that story in a bit.
There was a moment. We'll get back to it. Back to the cards.
Kathy's cousin went to a psychic,
Mhm.
and the psychic cursed at him and walked out. It was a whole thing. So,
Is he allowed to do that?
yeah,
Walk out on that?
yeah, she called them effing a-holes and slammed the door. So yeah, it was pretty dramatic. But nonetheless, so in this situation, because there's a big question mark as to how the whole, you know, death of their mother went down, people can have a tendency to go to, you know, medium A, and they don't get all the answers they want, so they go to medium B, and then they get some different answers, and then they go to
Right.
medium C. And you know, there is we have Greg and I have friends that lost a baby. She was just shy of 2 years old,
Sorry.
and they went to a grief counseling, and he called me up and he said, and I've talked about this before, he called me up and he goes, "Can I ask you a question about like what's with all the mediums and psychics that are contacting these parents? Like, it's really disturbing."
Right.
He goes, "They're offering for thousands of dollars to connect to their children." And I said, "Well, as horrible as it is, they look at the obits, they look at the information, and they will call those people, and you know, I can't say that any of them are real. I can't say any of them are not real. You know, I don't know, but I personally would never call someone like Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost, "Girl, you're in danger." You know, I wouldn't do that. I just, even if I did get messages like that, you know, I it would have to be, you know, like a spirit pounded me over the head for me to go contact somebody who I don't know, or through an obituary. I just think, you know, I want my people to come to me and ask me, you know,
As opposed to, you soliciting them.
yeah, it's a little creepy. So this is a situation where I think the secrets must stay secret in order for them to heal and move on. If they do not, we run the potential of this having a disjointed history. Their history is already disjointed because of the loss of their mother, but also the nefariousness of their father becomes an issue. So it does kind of set them up for a very strange life. You know, people are either going to pity you or look at you like, you know, you have more of your mom or your dad in you. They're going to look at you that way. Up here, the King of Swords, they both need to break away now that I know it's the first day since they've lost their father. They need to break away and establish their own identities. That doesn't mean separate and change your name, you know, be Mr. or Mrs. Smith or whatever, but establish your own identities, break away. That part of your life is gone. The segment is over and you need to move forward. Under here, King of Cups, they need to find peace. And in order to find peace, they need to tie this portion of their life up, put it in a box and let it go. Guys, I'm sorry, I went really long on that. Do you want to give any advice on that?
Nope. Good.
I will throw one caveat into this, because I found this very interesting. When we were split on the last thing, where we're talking about whether or not a movie will be done, where we had TD and Rick going no, and the two of us going yes. I want you to go back to that first card you were talking about.
This one?
The first one.
This one?
Right, on the end.
This one.
Right.
The moon card. Okay.
Right, and you were talking about the fact that secrets are going to stay secret.
Yeah.
Okay, based on that, it almost defends TD and Rick's feeling about no on the movie. Because if you don't have the information, there's going to be nothing new to put out there, and then hence no movie. Just spitballing.
I think that there are people in the periphery that are going to try and make money.
Okay.
That's-
No, I'm with
We're
you
talking
on
about
that, but I
Hollywood.
figure just as another interpretation to go back to where we were, it almost defends Rick and TD's feeling about the no movie thing. I'm still of the feeling it'll be peripheral, but it is interesting that card came up in that definition. So I figure, here we go.
All right. So any comment from you, Rick?
Yeah, there's a lot as I'm sat here listening into the silence up there, where I call it monkey chatter. if it's quiet enough up there, the monkey chatter will come in. And I'm finding that quite interesting to listen to your interpretation with that. And I'm just sat here with a feeling. And the Two of Swords for me is all about deadlock and stalemate. And the moon is all about illusions and deceptions for me. So not having the full true facts. The overriding thing that I've had in my head, though, is money is a strong aphrodisiac and money talks.
Mm-hmm.
So what I sense with it there is that there's got to be an element of the children in the parents. So the parents have passed down their influence to their children. What part of their children are good actors? So if you've got a product that generates interest, only they know what the truth is. So they can put out a version that will still make money. It will still satisfy the hunters, for want of better people, you know, the sensationalists. And they don't have to sort of compromise their integrity whatsoever. So they get paid, the need gets fulfilled. And I'm just looking, and what I felt with it was when you mentioned about the need for them to forge their own identity, they're going to do that, but come away with it with good amounts of money on the back of their father's name. But they're still going to give only like a diluted version of the actual events based on the knowledge that they've got, because their knowledge might be second and third hand, just
True.
because it was their parents that, you know, were involved in this. Have they been fed a story, you know, so that they still all love mum and dad in equal measure, so that there's no arguments or fighting? So just based on their perception, I'm just going, yeah, money talks. It's a powerful aphrodisiac. So when you was talking, Rob, all I kept seeing around you was just like twisting paths. Twisting past, keep going around, you know, and I'm thinking, this is like taking you right round to the beginning. It's like that figure of 8 that I keep seeing, that just, it's just that eternal going round and round the racetrack with no end in sight with it. But I think in a weird way that the kids are going to benefit from all of this. But it's not going to be truthful, but they are going to make money out of it.
That's our next question on the board from Carmen Sage. Hello, Carmen. She wants to know, she said the money needs to go to his children. Let's take a look at that. Now, just keep in mind, there's Arnell. She was born in 1968. Jason, born in 1970. There was an Aaron, a girl child, a daughter that was born in 77, but she unfortunately passed away in 1979 from drowning right before her second birthday. Those children were had with his first wife, Marguerite. He had Sydney in 1985 and Justin in 1988 with Nicole Brown Simpson, and those children were present in the condo the night she passed away with Ron Goldman.
So when you're looking into this, and when we're talking about what Carmen is bringing up, the money needs to go to his children, we're looking into, will the money wind up in the children's hands?
Correct, Amanda.
All right. Here's the triple cut. I still say you handle the big cards better.
It's because I got these big, meaty hands. Oh boy, it's not looking good, guys.
No.
All bad cards.
Oh boy. I'm saying, oh boy, like I know what's going on here, and I don't.
Oh.
But the explanation is about to come. Okay.
10 of Pentacles in reverse. Who wants to take the first go?
Well, I know Rick was making a lot of interesting comments, and Rick, get your light up a little bit. You're fading in the dark there, sir.
Yeah, it's I've got the sunlight is streaming in through the window and the sunset.
I get it. So it's like, yeah, the clouds. Blame the clouds. Damn them.
It's an eclipse. What happened, an eclipse?
Yeah, it's but something's in retrograde, probably in my bedroom. That'll do as an explanation. I'm looking at the Three of Swords there, which for me is heartbreak. I've got the second card there, which I've got to be careful again with my colourful language, but I call it like a dickhead attractor with that, where you've got this energy around you that is just basically out for themselves. There's collateral damage that's involved, which is the souls in the background. So the person there that is the victor there's going to be one person that I feel is going to end up with all of that. And all of the money's going to go to, it's kind of like the strongest survive type of thing. So whoever the child is that's got the strongest lack of morals, I think will be to the victor that spoils the rest of it. In a weird way, my feeling and my sense around it is that nobody's going to end up with it, because the only way that they're going to be able to fight it is going through that legal processes. And that key card at the top there is just being trapped for me. It's being trapped in your own thoughts. It's being sort of surrounded by these sort of doubts and all of these things going on in your own mind. So there's going to be a lot of infighting. There's going to be a lot of mudslinging. And it's going to be the one that comes out with I don't know, that's got no conscience, I feel, that's going to benefit from it. And the devil, for me, is all about what you're enslaved to and chained to. So I think in the end, there'll be a sensitive one there that's in it for the sake of the morality side of it. And then there'll be the other side of the team. And I think this will all depend on who represents them as to what their client instructs them to do. So from what I've seen on TV, and this is not my own personal experience, but lawyers they thrive on the drama as well. So they will go down whatever route that they feel is best, and they can turn a saint into a sinner in an instant. So I think it'll be a massive drama. When I see the tower for me is all about tearing down old thought processes and rebuilding and rescripting, and lots of fiery moments where we've got lots of real, I don't know, I'm going to say it's negative energy in this case, that it's like fire traps all over the place. And I don't think anybody's going to come out of it unscathed. But with the money there being in reverse with that legacy, I think by the time all of this has been fought and dealt with, that's what you're going to be left with, that fiery tower, ashes, nothing left. So it's whether the people that are involved in it have actually got the strength to see it through, because long term, all I can see is I keep going back with the loop there and going back to that heartbreak. So the money needs to go to his children. I agree with that 100%. Whether it's going to get there or not, that's where I have got major doubts. My feeling is that if they do see it, we're talking coinage. They might as well throw it to the busker on the street by the time they got it there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You talked about lawyers creating drama. It reminds us of what was said 30 years ago. If it doesn't fit, then you must quit. That's the job, man. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's what they're getting paid the big bucks for.
Do you know I did that experiment?
Oh, really? With the gloves?
I actually wet a glove
Okay.
and let it dry out. And guess what? It didn't fit.
Interesting. I never tried that experiment. You probably should have,
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So, TD, I'm going to jump in here before you. I'm getting that there's shock and dismay about how little is left in that pot at this point.
Going back to some of the stuff we talked about before, kind of right.
But I do think that the 5 children, we have the 5 of swords here, and that sometimes can represent, we have 5 children here. I do think that they're ready to go to battle. Everything is tied up. Rick, I completely agree with you on that. This guy, I think, is the fly in the ointment, the bugger who's in the way, who's preventing the money from going where it's supposed to. I think this guy steps into the situation and goes, you're not getting that. And I think
might say that again like that. Thank you very much.
That's a New Jersey thing. I just spoke Jersey for all you guys.
I asked you to do it again because I know that one. Yeah.
So I know that one. I speak that dialect. So I think this guy is going to pop up, and that's not to say like this is like a dark horse that shows up. I think this is somebody who's been in the cast, so to speak. But I think it's something's going to be presented, a piece of paper. This is what you have to contend with. This is what we have to do. So whether that's the money that has to go to the settlement for the Browns and the Goldmans, it quite possibly could be, because we're tied up to this. We're invested in this. We can't get out of it. So I think, this is, we'll see what happens with this, with the patience card, with that strength card. But here, I just think they're squabbling over crumbs at this point. It's really, he is not the OJ of 1995. He's or 1992. Let's go back a little further.
Well, before the trial, sure.
Yeah, before times.
Right. And
So-
if we go to the after, we'll even say the OJ of 97 who had a ton of money because of the book. So we
Yeah.
can go that one.
I think we're looking at not a whole lot of money left over. TD, what do you got, honey?
I think that it's all exploding and there's nothing left. I just think there's nothing left to begin with. There's heartbreak. There's going to be maybe some squabbling back and forth. But in the end, with the Tower and the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, there's nothing left for anyone.
Yeah, and I think any fight over what's there is going to result in less.
Going to Carmen's comment about OJ and a will, there's been nothing that has come over the wire that says he had one. This is part of the reason why we're doing the reading, because we are kind of, we'll say, speculating if there is any money left, where it would go, because there's nothing that's been printed out. I, OJ Simpson, being of sound mind and now dead body, present this will and testament. And the card here is
10 of Swords in reverse. Did he have a will? I
No.
say yes, but I think it's going to be contested.
I say
TD,
no-
you got that shrug. What are you thinking?
I just think no will.
No will at all.
No will.
Rick?
Many, many battles to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be doubt in the validity. Sorry, I can't even speak with my teeth. There'll be doubt in the validity of the will if it is put in there, and I think that will be a place where it gets tied up, and this is where the part of the battles will come in. Well, that was designed in whatever year, and that was when he had more money, and then there'll be another will surface that will say, well, this is the more updated will. And I just keep getting like the magician that's putting on this performance, and as we get nearer to the end of the performance, there was one of the comments on there that I 100% agree with, that being that sort of grandiose type of person that thrives on the attention, he must have told somebody the whole story just to get off on it. So I think towards the end of it, it'll be like one of these sort of plot twists, but we're not going to know. It's like the serialized program that we don't get the full story right until the very last few minutes of an episode. And I think that if he could have planned his life and death to start at one point and finish off at the end, that'll be the perfect moment for it, because he might have passed, but his ego certainly hasn't.
Yeah. And if that happens, the movie's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Prima. I think that he did tell somebody something. I do think that he just had a hard time not saying that. So and I just wanted to acknowledge Tracy Devlin here. She's coming over from Rick's channel on Facebook. Knowing nothing, next to nothing of tarot, she's finding this fascinating. So I'm glad you're finding it fascinating, Tracy. Basically, what we're doing is a news program where we put a psychic spin on it. So we look at news items, and
Today, for the first time, we got to do breaking news.
we got breaking news. So yeah, so I'm glad to have you here. Thanks so much. We do have some other talking heads that are on here as well. So just a couple people have the day off. So welcome. Glad to have you here. So let's go back up. Do we think the High Priestess is his wife? Is the wife of his late lawyer? You mean Johnny Cochran's?
No, you're talking about
Kris Jenner.
Yes.
Kris Jenner. There's always been talk about him getting the Louis Vuitton clothing bag. I'm just going to pull this up for a second. The Louis Vuitton clothing bag, garment bag is what I'm trying to say. There's always been a question that there was some piece of evidence or some actual
We'll say
prop.
Okay.
Some actual piece of evidence.
Ooh!
Yes. Actual piece of evidence.
Hey, you're laughing. I'm sitting next door.
Dude, I have like 6 more knives around me.
Yeah.
So like, calm down. You're never gonna. It's gonna come from everywhere.
Right.
There's an injury.
So
I'll never see it coming, guys.
we're both Italian. We know.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know.
Just because I'm looking over here doesn't mean I'm seeing you like you're doing over there.
And the FBI is now checking in. So,
Terrific.
hi.
Yeah.
So, you know, the high priestess, and we could do a whole show on.
Oh, on Kardashian alone? Oh my God. And we're not even just talking about the Kardashian family. We're talking about Mr. Kardashian here.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God,
who-
yeah.
Probably was not a bad guy. I don't know.
I
You
get
know,
the feeling he wasn't, not that I would, know much about him, but I think he was placed in a very awkward situation knowing how close he was to the family.
Well, you know, we all have douchey friends, you know, that are really fun to hang out with. You know, to a point. You know? So yeah, I think he was probably not a bad guy, but I don't know if she's the high priestess. There is Prima definitely thinks that she's the high priestess. There are some thoughts about dark Hollywood, and I would love to do a Too Hot for YouTube that covers that. And I will tell everybody that's watching, the Psychic News universe is going to have a business meeting, and we're gonna talk about some changes, some things that we want to do. I think doing a pay-per-view with Too Hot for YouTube is really important for us, because there's a lot of stuff that we can't talk about on YouTube. There's a lot of language Rob is learning. There's a lot of language that
I
you
thought
can't
Carlin
use.
had it bad with the 7 words you can't say. Now this list is getting longer by the minute.
It's a big list. It's a big list. So I think you know, there's going to be some nifty things to come. So let's see, those 3-letter agencies. We love them. They show up in the driveway. So
yeah, they're just a bunch of ish. That's all.
Grumpy Sapper.
It's alcohol.
Absolutely. If we do it Too Hot for YouTube, you can have your cocktails on there.
As a matter of fact, we encourage you to bring us bourbon. We have no problem with that.
Well, we've got some right there. We've got some bullet right there.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's
keep it-
screwball next to it.
yeah, well, screwball is one of those, you can only have like one shot of that.
But in the peanut butter milkshake,
Oh, and the peanut butter milk. Well, that makes
I
sense,
make
yeah.
a bourbon milkshake that is
You've been telling me.
unbelievable,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do that one of these days.
Great. Too hot for YouTube on bourbon milkshakes.
So you
Don't
know,
bring the kids to this episode when it happens. Don't do it.
we really did a lot of covering of OJ, and we're coming up on an hour and a half. So do we want to save our Lady C stuff and maybe do a special, because Thor never got here?
Right. I want to say that I think Thor will be a great contributor on that. I know Rick has probably got some good information that we could go with this, hopefully.
Yeah, to be fair, Thor's in a different time zone. I mean, we're all in different time zones, but you know, there's some trouble getting him
Right.
coordinated sometimes. So, but does anyone have any more questions? Foxy wants to know if miniature railways will be involved. Foxy, always a delight. And Foxy, I just want to make sure that I acknowledge you too. I saw that you offered to fill in for Deb. Once we get the show going, like it's tricky to keep up with the comments, and I couldn't get to you. So next time he said he would have come on and fill it in for Thor. Next time we'll let you know in advance that we can get you set up with the link and everything. So you know, for sure. But you are always a delight. You're always welcome to come on. So
And as we're getting ready to wrap up, one thing that Thor did say, as we were talking about the upcoming eclipse and saying how the world, for about 30 days after the eclipse, just expect a lot of craziness. We're already starting to feel that, and it'll be interesting to see what the next couple of weeks are going to bring, even before the eclipse. I mean, for anybody who has been tuning in from around the New York, New Jersey area, you know, those 23 Earth tremors were just, something out of the extraordinary and out of the ordinary for anything we're expecting around here. You felt that thing at that 4.8, didn't you?
I felt both of them.
You did, the 4.8 and the 4.0.
Yeah. So you know, the 4.8 was alarming, because I was in the bedroom getting ready, and I immediately felt it. You know, having lived in California, you go 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's not a truck.
Right.
By the time I realized it wasn't a truck, Greg had woken up and said, "Was that an earthquake?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I think it is." And we have the bifold mirrored closet doors, and they were rocking.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh dear." So it was enough time. It was long enough
Right.
for me to have a conversation with Greg, get up, walk to the bottom of the stairs and yell up to the kids, "Are you guys okay?" And my son said, "I'm in the doorway." And my daughter didn't answer me, so I had to go up and check on her. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But here in New Jersey on the East Coast, our infrastructure and our construction is built to withstand hurricanes. So everything's very rigid, and we went through Sandy.
Sure we did.
Sandy was
That
a great
superstorm,
fun.
yeah.
It was not fun at all. There's a town right up the street from us, and it just literally looked like somebody scooped out the all the houses in the area. It was
Right, and all of a sudden
really-
now a man-made lake, for like a better term.
yeah. So the first shake that we had an earthquake in 2020 or 2019. It was just like a little rumble. It was like, brrr, and that was it. But because it was so long and because it was such a significant rock, it was pretty frightening. And then when we had the aftershock, I really got freaked out.
That's understandable. Being that you lived in California, I'm talking like Schwarzenegger.
Californication.
Yeah, California. Keep dreaming of that.
California.
Yeah, that's what I said.
California.
I pulled a Schwarzenegger there. California. We're not used to any earthquake, let alone an aftershock. So you're feeling an aftershock knowing that you had that whole experience in California. It had to bring that up and like, what the? Oh my God. Well, I think it would freak me out if I had gone through what you've been through in California, because you sit there and say, this doesn't happen in New Jersey. Matter of fact, the 4.8 is the second largest earthquake ever to hit New Jersey. So
in history,
it's
the
crazy.
largest was 5.3.
Yeah.
And that was in 1783.
Something like that. Yeah,
I think 1785. So which is crazy because I didn't know they measured earthquakes on, but whatever.
Oh, well, those historians have got to do something. But
Yeah. So and then I did do a remote view on it. That's in my video feed. You can go look at it. And I did get some interesting stuff. So for the remote view, I went and I dove into the Ramapo fault line. I do want to go look at the New Madrid fault line, which is the one that's a little further west of us. And that's the one everyone was worried about during the eclipse because it's right where the apex of the eclipse is. I'm still a little foggy on why eclipses that apex.
Look, I got
like
denied the eclipse. That's all I'm going to say. I got one photo was behind clouds. I'm sure the clouds show up right as the eclipse is happening.
We had the glasses like dorks, and we watched it come in and out. But
I'll say it this way to wrap it up, Rick, as you're digesting all this, and we've talked about it before, how the eclipse does kind of create some chaos in the universe. Your vibes of what we could expect in your mind, or maybe over the next couple of weeks.
Batten down the hatches.
There you go.
Because it's one of those things that it's individual to everybody, I think. I mean, I went from an ecstatic weekend to feeling like I'd plumbed the depths. And what I would say is that for instance, that when I start to work, I have an opening up procedure. And I have a closing down procedure. And it's been the same for the 7 years that I've done this work on the circuit. But me and my infinite wisdom decided, because I was busy, that I wouldn't close down. So basically, all of the impacts of this eclipse hit me when I'm at my energetic low. So I hit rock bottom and bounced and went even further down the thing. So my feeling is with people, do everything that you can to protect yourself, take all of the safety precautions energetically. Don't overanalyze and don't overthink anything, because it's like with storylines, it's like end of part one, start of part two, and those that were in part one might not be in part two. So it's like trying to build something on shifting sands. My last words, and I've got to bring this in because you just told us a wonderful story about the impact of earthquakes, right? Where I live, so I live in the middle of the country. It is flat, it is barren, it's an agricultural town. About 15, 20 years ago, we experienced, in inverted commas, what was an earthquake. It did register on the Richter scale. And I was listening to Anna that did the mum stuff there. And you alerted your children and you decided it was an earthquake and you got a contingency plan. Right. This is true story. And I'm going to put myself in the villain's light here. This earthquake, this tremor came in and it woke me up. And I sat up really suddenly because I got no reference point. I'd never experienced anything like that. Now, I've got 3 children at the time who were very small, and I sat up, and at that particular point, I collected what's known over here. I don't know if they made it across to you, bad taste bears. And they were all in glass cabinets, right? And these bad taste bears are little teddy bears in various rude poses. That's where I'll keep it for you, those of you that want to research it. So I sat bolt upright as this vibration went across the bedroom and shook the house, and it really did. And the first words out of my mouth was, I hope nothing's broke in my cabinet. And my wife, 15, 20 years on, still does not let me forget this. If there's anything mentioned about earthquakes or anything like that, your bad taste bears will worth more than your kids' well-being. I can't argue. But yeah, in regards to the eclipse, just look after yourself, because especially if you're feeling a little bit like under the weather yourself emotionally, or like with me, that moods can change and fluctuate and things like that. Just do your best to keep grounded and focused, because there are big changes. And it's like I've asked Spirit personally what is actually going on, because there's certain things that I can't get a lid on. I said to you, Anna, on Monday, there's certain things I just don't understand. I've learned lots since I've been doing this work, but there's certain things that I just don't get. And I asked Spirit what was going on, because I needed just somewhere where I could put my feet down and just go, right, if I've got to hide from it, get my tin helmet on, protect myself or whatever. And they just said, just don't worry about it, because you're going through purging. And I think that as we transition from 3D to 5D energy, then there's a lot of things that we've got to shed, lots of different thoughts, lots of different ways of being that aren't currently clear. So we've got to get over something and give ourselves a clear space before we move on to that next level of energy. So I'm just going to shut up after this and just say that for the course of these next sort of 4 weeks, just be kind to yourself. Just treat yourself like the free spirit that you are, but just be kind to yourself, and don't hold on too much to any expectations at the moment. It's like trying to build on shifting sands.
Great advice to go out on.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. We'll reconvene in probably a week or two for sure. Rick, always a pleasure. TD, thanks for being a part of this as our regular panel. Annabelle, thank you as always.
Thank you, sir.
You're quite
And
welcome.
I want to remind everyone to go over and subscribe to the A Game with Rob Akampora, which I think he's going to be interviewing a psychic soon.
Yes, we are going to do that. I haven't figured out how we're going to do this, but maybe we're going to have somebody like come in and also do the reading at the same time of some ilk, meaning you may have to do the cards and use that as an example. Exactly. But I think that's going to be the part where, as we talk about what we do here and when we talk about what you do on the side,
we talk about what we did in the 90s.
Well, that's the things we remember. Keywords, the things we remember. Yeah.
How many Whirling Dervishes show have we been to? Like 8,000.
And that's who was my guest this past week, Don Dazzler. With
I know.
That brought back a lot of memories.
So you can go see that interview with Rob on his channel. He's here on YouTube. You can also see him on Facebook. And for me, you can always see me here, YouTube, Facebook. Where else am I? X. Sometimes I'm on the other one, Instagram. I think I'm going to start streaming to Instagram separately from all my other stuff.
Sure.
Following the lead of our cult leader, Trevor Colt. And I also want to remind everyone, you can link to get a reading from me in the description of the video below. That you can go to my Calendly link. I'm going to have some sales coming up. I'm going to have a new course coming up pretty soon. Rick, where can people find you, please?
Medium Rick 007 at gmail.com, and I'm on Facebook on the Urban Angel page, and also Rick Paul Spiritual Medium. You might find me on Instagram, but I ain't got a clue what I'm doing on there, so don't expect anything grand on there. Just like my pictures and like the stuff on here. And of course, support us on Vibe with the Tribe on Monday, which incidentally I'll give a good plug for, because it's all about self-care this week and looking after you.
Awesome. It's such a great way.
Self-care is so important.
It's such a great way for me to start my week. And I'm so glad. I'm so grateful that Rick and I are doing this together. And he's, we were talking about, energetic uplifting for like groups of people. And it's just such a great place for people to meet. And we're all having a good time in there. So thank you, Rick. I forgot to talk about Vibe with the Tribe. We're all set up 6 a.m., 6:15 New York time. And that's 11:15 your time, or is it 12:15?
It is. Yeah. It's 11:15. Yeah.
And TD, where can people find you for readings?
Instagram at Tarot Destiny altogether. Just DM me for a reading. Or I'm also on YouTube, although that's much smaller, Tarot-Destiny.
Excellent, excellent. And I want to remind everyone that Thor Sandalwood is our Vedic astrologer. He didn't come into the show today, but that's okay. We're going to see him next time. I did tell him that I wanted to do a collab with him this week on the Justin Bieber, Hailey Bieber situation. So hopefully we're going to be able to put that together. And as always, we have Deborah in the comments, our Florida Tarot apprentice, who is fantastic. But this is a great show. This is a little bit different from our scheduled format.
Without a doubt.
But I think it went pretty well. You guys can let us know in the comments if you're watching on the rewatch what you liked, what you didn't like.
Please, we appreciate the feedback. And especially since we did breaking news, we also want to know that is this something you want to see in the future? So please, anything you can give us, we appreciate it.
Excellent. So with that.
For Annabelle, Rick Paul, and TD, I'm Rob Akampora. We'll see you next time in the future.